Hello and welcome to a new week of meals. I apologize profusely for not having a video up last week, but I am trying to make up for it here with 5 meals. This is the first of 5 here. I'm going to do like a chili hot dog, and basically I'm just taking some ground beef, and I wanted to use up all the little things and not open an entire can of tomato sauce and do a legit chili. So I have some ketchup, I have some leftover pasta sauce, just a few tomato components to make this kind of chili like. I'm going to add some seasoning. I'm going to add the the cumin. I'm going to add, I didn't have any chili powder. I went in with some garlic, what I thought was garlic powder, but it ended up being garlic salt. So it was just a tad too salty for my taste, but once you add it, you can't really take it out. So I'm just going to try to do the best I can here, give it a little taste and just adjust. Again, you can do up a regular chili, you can use canned chili, whatever you like, but this is basically just going to be a chili hot dog. Once the chili, quote unquote, once the chili is done, I'm going to prep the hot dog bun. I'm just kind of, making a little bit of space here by pressing the bun in, and that's going to leave a little bit more room for the chili. And then I'm going to add the all beef hot dog. I use a Hebrew National all beef hot dog that I had previously stuck in the air fryer just to warm that up and warm it through. So I'm going to add that here. Going to top this all with a little bit more of that ground beef chili mixture and some cheddar cheese. That's all going to go into the air fryer to melt the cheese, and we'll be ready to serve with a side of coleslaw. Using a bit of foil here to help me out so that the shredded cheese doesn't fall all over the air fryer, the bottom of the air fryer. So I'm just going to wrap that up. It's really just to melt the cheese, so I'm not trying to get any kind of like crunchy outside exterior or anything like that. It's really just to melt the cheese. So into the air fryer just for a few minutes. Really, I think I did like 360 for 3 minutes or so. Again, just to melt the cheese. Again, that's going to be ready to go and serve with the side. There you go, nice and a melty cheese. I did serve this with some homemade sort of KFC style coleslaw. So basically what that is just a mayo, a bit of apple cider vinegar, and some sweetener. I use monk fruit. They do it a little bit more sweet for the KFC, so that's what I did, add a little bit of that. There is some pepper in that as well. Chips would be great here. Didn't have chips, but there you go. First meal of the week. Another super tasty yet requires minimal effort dinner for the second meal I'm sharing with you here. This is the last of my Stonefire 49-cent clearance special. So this is the flatbread, the Stonefire flatbread. Just topping with some cheddar cheese because we don't have any mozzarella. This is all the shredded cheese that I had. So this is what I'm using. I'm going to do two different ones. The first one I am going to make sort of like a Big Mac style or a cheeseburger style pizza. So we've got just some regular ground beef on there. And then the second pizza, I am actually going to use the leftover chili meat, chili slash taco slash whatever you want to call it, meat from the previous night. So here we go with the cheeseburger one up on the top, and then the taco one is going to be down at the bottom. No real recipes for these, and you can just put any topping that you like and save the fresh toppings for the end. I didn't have any fresh toppings. Again, I'm just using what I happen to have. Decided for the cheeseburger that I wanted to go ahead and add some onions. So these are some sliced onions that we're just trying to use up from the refrigerator. So here we go. I'm just topping those here. Again, if you have some fresh ingredients that you'd like to use, like tomatoes, you can add that after the fact. You could also bake the tomatoes on there if you'd like. They do get a bit juicy, but there are the taco ones as well. I put some jalapenos on that. Now, once they're out of the oven, I just put it into the oven until the cheese is melted and the bottom is nice and crispy. I'm going to add this sort of like homemade Thousand Island dressing to my cheeseburger one. So this is going to be like kind of like the Big Mac sauce. So here we go. I'm just going to put a bit of that on here. I'm also going to top the cheeseburger one with some sliced pickles, or diced up pickles. I had some sandwich slims that I had in the fridge, so I wanted to go ahead and use those up. So I cut them up with a pair of scissors, and just top the burger with that. Again, you can add anything you'd like. You can do diced tomatoes. You can add avocado if you like avocado, or bacon would be so good on this. If you have some shredded lettuce, go for it. Add those toppings, any toppings that you like, but I just kept it nice and simple, and didn't have any fresh ingredients to use up. So there is a cheeseburger one. For the taco, I am going to add a squeeze of sour cream. In addition to that, I'm going to also spice it up with a bit of tapatio, because jalapenos just are not sufficient spiciness. So here we go, a little bit of tapatio. Again, anything you'd like. Black olives. What else can you put on here? Cilantro. Anything you like. So just make it your own. And that was the second meal of the week. Next meal I'm sharing is a very simple one with a handful of ingredients, literally chicken, Parmesan cheese, and Caesar dressing. I also am going to do a side of air fried zucchini. So for the chicken, I'm going to put down a layer of Caesar dressing just so it doesn't stick to the bottom. Now in hindsight, after I took this out of the oven, you'll see exactly what it looks like. I probably should have used a smaller container. I didn't really need the big one. This is a 9x13 baking dish. I did 3. They were still large chicken breasts, but I really didn't need the big one here, and you'll see exactly why towards the end. So I'm going to put down my chicken breast here, and then I'm going to put more Caesar, and then I'm going to also add some grated Parmesan cheese. This was so easy. This is exactly what drew me to this recipe, and if I can remember where I saw this, it was a TikTok thing, so it was I don't remember exactly who was it. Again, I'll put it down below if I remember who it was, but I saw this on TikTok and it was very simple. I was like, wow, that is so easy. 3 ingredients, I can do that, and it was really fast. So I'm basically going to do that, the Caesar, more cheese, and then put it in the oven so that the chicken is cooked and the cheese is melted. Now, the person that I saw, I do remember that she did mix her cheese into the Caesar dressing, and I think that would have worked just fine too. More comments towards the end, and I'll share exactly my thoughts when this comes out of the oven. In the meantime, while that is cooking, I'm just going to take my zucchini, which are starting to turn like a little old, so I thought, I need to use these up. So I'm going to stick them in the air fryer and cook them up just as is, no seasoning, really just some extra virgin olive oil. And there you go with some EVOO, just drizzling that over the top so that there's enough to coat all of the zucchini sticks or fries, whatever you want to call these. So I'm just going to massage them so that everything gets coated nice and evenly. I am going to cook this in the air fryer, as I mentioned, in 2 batches, just because my air fryer is really small. I only have like I think it's a 4-quart one. It's a standard Ninja one. I'm going to cook it on some foil just to make it easy to take in and out of the air fryer, and also just to keep it a little cleaner. And just trying to cook these so that they're nice and cook through. I don't recall exactly how long I cooked these. I started probably with about 10 minutes at 400, which is the highest I think that my air fryer goes, and then I just go from there. Just see if it's nice and cooked through, but not like too mushy. I like a little bite to my veggies still, so there you go. Ready for the air fryer, and once those are done, those will be ready to serve with the chicken. Speaking of which, here is the chicken. Now, you can see the pool of dressing and what I believe is the cheese that actually slid off the chicken. So this is why I mentioned I probably do this in a smaller baking dish so that everything stays on top. I think that would have been really nice. Even if I had mixed the cheese into the dressing, I think it would have had the same outcome. So To remedy that, I just added a bit more Caesar and more shredded Parm when we went to serve. And there you go. That is super fast, super tasty, and my dog, my dog barking in the background. So there you go. There is the third meal of the week. This was super tasty, really, really easy. I would definitely do it with chicken thighs again. This solidified my my preference for chicken thighs. Chicken breasts are a little too dry for me, but this was still pretty tasty. Next up, we are making some shrimp. I never buy shrimp, but there you go. $2 for that whole thing. How could I pass it up? So this is going to be really easy. The shrimp is already pre-seasoned. I'm just going to cook it in the skillet until they're nice and cooked through, but not rubbery or tough. So I'm just going to make sure my skillet is nice and hot. Extra virgin olive oil, extra jumbo shrimp goes down. I'm going to cook that like that in the skillet until they're a little more than halfway done. You can kind of tell like how pink, the level of pinkness from the bottom of the skillet. So you just kind of flip it when it's almost done on one side, or almost more than halfway done on one side, if that makes any sense. Flip it over, and then that's just going to cook barely for like a minute. I mean, it's basically cooked, you know, and it's going to cook a little bit it's going to cook in that residual heat of the skillet once you pull it off for just, you know, even just a few seconds. So I'm taking a plate here and I'm just going to scoop it, serve it really simply on this plate, just in a big old pile. This is going to be served with a big old pile of steamed broccoli that I put with some melted butter. Again, didn't season that. Everybody can season as they like, so you can put salt on the side or whatever, but I like my veggies nice and plain, so there you go. Shrimp, broccoli, and some lemons from the yard. Squeeze that over everything. It's just so simple, so delicious, so nice and clean, and just super easy, fast, and delicious. Last up, I am doing some flank steak with this marinade recipe. For this will be linked down below. I didn't measure my ingredients. I eyeballed them. Let's just say I eyeballed all of my ingredients. I am missing the paprika in this lineup here, but I do show it a little bit towards the end of the process where I'm adding all the spices and stuff. So here you go. Those are all of the marinade ingredients. I'm going to take a Ziploc bag. This is my favorite way of marinating meat because it's easy to like flip over and you just make sure you get all of the little crevices and everything coated with your marinade. So I'm just taking a little bowl here to steady everything. Again, recipe will be down below. I'm not going to mention all the ingredients here. I did take a pan of all of them so you could see, and I'm just going to speed through this so you could see me putting all of this together. One thing to note about this recipe is it says you should marinate the meat for, I think, 2 to 12 hours or 2 to 24 hours, something like that. But again, recipe down below. So I am doing this in the morning. You can see the time stamp on my microwave. It's like about 10:30-ish. So I'm mixing this all together with the idea that I am going to marinate this for this particular evening. Now, something came up, you know, we ended up going someplace, and I decided to go ahead and continue leaving that in the fridge. And it was actually a happy mistake because it ended up just being so delicious, marinating overnight and for even longer, I think, than what the instructions say. Now, I didn't want to let this go much longer than the 20, maybe 30 hours that it was in the fridge. But in any case, I'm adding all the rest of the ingredients here. I'm going to add the flank steak to this, which I got on clearance. I was so stoked when I got the regularly priced $20 flank steak for $6.77 at my local Ralph's. So again, don't be shy to look at those clearance items. That it was ready to eat. I'm not ready to eat, but it looked like you needed to eat it that day. So with this marinating in the fridge for just one day, it was perfect. And then I served it right up the following day. Just closing up the Ziploc bag here nice and tight just to make sure it's completely sealed. I don't want any of that marinade or any of the beef juice leaking out from the Ziploc. So what I'm doing here is I am slowly massaging it to try to flatten out the flank steak. When I put it in the Ziploc, it was kind of folded in three into like a third. I don't know, pamphlet folded sort of. So I'm trying to flatten it out here so that all of the marinade can get in all the little bits. So here we go. I'm just flattening it out, and you can see it just marinates so nice and evenly when you do it in a Ziploc bag. So that's why I like to do it this way. And there you go, ready for the fridge until I am ready to cook that up. Okay, next day, ready to cook this puppy up. I am taking the flank steak. I'm going to carefully sort of drain the marinade from it so that it's not too juicy or liquidy in the skillet itself. Now, you can do this on the grill. We have an outdoor grill, but it was just too much trouble to like get it prepped and everything. We have a standard charcoal Weber grill. But here we go, in the skillet, nice and super, super hot, so we can sear that sucker and get some nice char on it. Once one side is done, I'm going to flip it over. I really only cook this maybe 3 to 4 minutes per side, and it was perfect. You'll see when I slice this up. This was done to my liking. I really like it nice and kind of still really pink through. More of like a medium rare-ish for this kind of thing, but it will continue to cook. Once you tent this, I will let it rest for like 10-15 minutes before I slice it. So it's still going to kind of cook a little bit. And then again, if you tent it, it's going to continue to cook even more. So I wanted to stay nice and red-ish in the middle, but you do this to however you prefer your meat cooked. So I'm going to remove it from the skillet now. Again, let it rest, and then I'll be back to slice it. After about 10 to 15 minutes of resting, I did slice it down the middle, like the thickest part, just to see how it was. It was perfect, perfect. Otherwise, I would have, thrown it back into the skillet just to let it cook a little bit longer. I'm just going to finish cutting this. I'm actually going to quarter it, I guess you could say, just so that the strips weren't so long. I am going to cut this against the grain so it's nice and tender when you eat it. But again, I'm just quartering it this way so that, again, the strips aren't going to be super, super long. And here I am cutting against the grain. It's the way you should cook it so that it's nice and tender when you eat it and you're not, getting all these strings and things in your mouth. So here we go, just nice and pink throughout. Once I'm done slicing the whole thing, I'm going to put on a plate and just wait until we're ready to serve dinner. There you go, transferring this first batch to the plate, and then I'm going to go in with the second here, and I'm going to slice that through. You can see it's nice and perfectly pink for me. This is exactly what I like, just so nice, so yummy. And I'm going to just transfer that to the plate again, just getting ready to serve. The flavor on this flank steak was spot on for me. Again, I eyeballed the proportions of all of the seasonings, but so good. It was like a little bit sweet, just a little bit salt. It was really good. I can't tell you, I can't describe it really, but just served here with a side of broccoli again, like I did the previous night with a little bit of butter. This was so good. It was so good. I just couldn't wait to eat leftovers, and there was barely any left, but yeah, we did have a little bit of leftover. And there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the meals for the week. I know it was a long time in coming, but there you go. 5 meals for you. Hope you got some inspiration. Thank you so much for stopping by. I do appreciate you taking the time to share our meals with us, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care until then. Bye-bye.